Some of you have been asking for a tutorial on how I created the apple that used just the pencil. So I thought I'd show you my process. It's fairly quick and it's very simple, and I hope that you'll find it useful. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually create an apple again, just to show the process that I used. And obviously the first thing we want to do is actually choose the Lisa's pencil brush. And I'm going to use kind of like a reddy pinky color just for the main apple, and with very loose light strokes I'm just going to do the main shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. Sorry if you can hear the traffic. I have to actually leave my window open today because it's pretty hot here. Okay, so that's your basic shape. Just going to erase some of the, whoops, some of the not so nice lines. And the principle with using color pencils actually works the same on your iPad. So generally what they recommend is you work from light to dark. And so I'm going to do exactly that. I'm just going to bring this down slightly, well actually lighten it slightly. And then very quickly create some shading. Now I know this, you know, the nice thing about pencil work is that it creates a lovely effect, you know, hand-drawn effect, but it can get fairly tedious because you're essentially filling in large areas of color with very, you know, with a very small tool. And I am going rougher than normal only because I don't want you to be absolutely bored of watching me do this. But what we're doing is we're creating crosshatch marks as we apply the color. And at this stage I'm not thinking too much about color variation or form. You can, of course. I know a lot of illustrators don't work in this way. They actually, you know, start developing the form from the get-go. But I want to make this fairly simple for you, so I'm just going to quickly show you what I do if I want to be in a rush. Okay, so we're getting to a point where it's pretty much full. And I'm just fixing the edges and making them neater. So obviously the lighter, you know, the more careful you are with your strokes and your angles, you're going to go right angle each time. You know, the more even you'll get, you know, more even your results will be. So we're just going to quickly neaten that up a bit, fix our shape. Okay, using the original color that I want, they're just slight variations. So what I'm planning is that the light is going to come from this side, and that means that you'll get a highlight over here. You'll probably find that, you know, True Life Apple will have variations of lighter colors over here, and then you'll get darker colors here. So that's what we want to achieve. Okay, so a great tip for using color pencils is to actually change your tones quite a bit. So we want to go, as I said, darker here. What you could do is actually go more pink. Actually, I'm going to go, yeah, I'm going to go more pink. And bring that down because we want a darker color. And it's almost kind of like a mauvey wine color, and you'll see now we're starting to get a much bigger variation in our color application. And my action is very loose. I'm just glancing over my screen So my pressure is very light. And the whole thing about, you know, giving it a pencil crayon look are all the millions of little strokes that you've created. And then I'm going to tilt my pencil because I want to create a bit more shading. And you'll notice that it actually fills in a bit more color as we do this. And now at this point we are thinking about form. We're trying to create the shape, the 3D shape of the apple. So if you can recall, our light is coming this side, so this side is going to be a lot darker. Very lightly with a tilted pencil. And now I'm going to sort of darken it even more. And for a dash of different variation, I'm just bringing it down to be more, a little bit more purple. Again, tilted pencil. And there'll be a little bit more of a shadow catching over here. Again, this is a bit rough and ready, but I just wanted to show you the technique. Now we're going to do the same for the lighter area. We're going back to our original sort of reddish color, and now we're going to lighten it just slightly, and we're going to start working on this side with that lighter color. Okay, I don't think that's light enough, so I'm going to lighten it even more. There we go. And I'm just maintaining my crosshatch action at this point. And tilting the pencil every now and then. There are several kind of techniques you can use for working with pencil crayon. I'm just using the crosshatch in this example. Okay. And as we work, as I mentioned, we're just going to go lighter and lighter, but this time I'm going to go kind of warmer for a bit of variation. And you'll see, I hope the camera can pick this up, you'll see a warmer sort of orangey color happening there. And we're just going to keep it in a smallish area, because I'm aiming to have my highlight about here. So the interest, I just want to draw the eye to around this area. So as mentioned, under normal circumstances I'd probably be slightly slower and more careful in my strokes. Whoops, but you get the idea. And lighter still. And this time our area is just going to get smaller and smaller. And because I don't really have an apple as an example to look at the exact realistic details of a reflection, I'm just kind of winging it. But I've got an idea of what a reflection ends up being quite harsh. And we're just using the tilt again and doing small round circle action. And lighter still. Okay, we are getting somewhere, and I just want to take away a bit more of this you know, paper color showing through. So with just the side of my pencil, I'm just lightly going over it. And you can really decide how much variation of color that you want to apply. For example, you could go quite blue in the shadow part. Let's try something like that. It may not work. Let me just have a look. And very lightly, just using the tilt of my pencil. And you'll see the color, I mean, that's quite a purpley color, but it works well over the red apple. So that's the whole thing with pencil crayon, is building up color. That gives you that kind of tonal interest to your work. And you would do exactly the same thing if you were actually working on paper with real pencil crayons. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the stem on a new layer. And probably something like that. Fortunately, this should be quite quick to execute. Again, we're going darker where we think the shadow would be. Bring this down, and maybe a bit more orange for the highlights. So far you'll notice, I'm sure you've noticed, that the important thing here is actually not just taking the color and making it lighter. Let's just go here. For example, you know, it's not a case of just running your you know, your slider to a lighter color. What we want to do is actually change the tone slightly, so that's why we're moving this to the more orange side of the spectrum. And dash of highlight just over here. We go again lighter. Probably something like that. And then the same for the leaves. Let's choose up. I'm just going to do one leaf for now. You know, it depends on how realistic you want to get with your execution. Mine's just going to be kind of realistic for this exercise, and you'll see it's a bit rough, but you get the idea. Just want to add some kind of vein. And with the tilt of my pencil, I'm just adding in some shadow here. And again, I'm going to start changing the tone of the colors that I use. And working towards possibly adding a highlight, maybe something like that. And then just blending it all. So there you have it. I know it's a little rough, but it gives you an idea of my approach to using color pencils on the iPad in Procreate. I hope you found that helpful. Thanks for watching.